there, Taurus. Welcome to your mid-August 2020 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here, and I've gone back to my roots with the Rider-Waite deck. I bet you haven't seen me use this deck in a long time if you're somebody who is a regular viewer. But I don't think that there's anything that quite compares to the Rider-Waite deck in terms of Pamela Coleman Smith's illustrations. We have to give her credit. I think she died penniless, and that is very touching to me because she, I think about these people like Van Gogh and Pamela Coleman Smith, these artists who probably died thinking that they were completely obscure, that it didn't even matter. They probably knew, I think Van Gogh made some comment because he knew that he was talented or what have you. I'm sure they all know that they have talent, but they can't figure out why they can't make any money in their lifetime. But they still do their art because you know what? It's really like a spiritual thing. It's not about the money, ultimately. It's like they have to do it. When you're an artist, a creative person, you just have to do it. And it just touches me, the fact that people have such dedication to making the world such a beautiful place with their images, their poetry, music. I'm always whistling a song and thinking of the melody or even the lyrics, so I'm sure you do too. Taurus loves music, and a lot of you have a good voice because Taurus rules the throat. So sing away, even if it's just in the shower. Okay. The heart of the matter, I should have noticed. And by the way, sorry for my contorted holding up of cards. I can't even go like this because it's too far. I know, I'm going to quit bitching about my tripod because I'm going to get a new one, I swear. So this is the heart of the matter, the Nine of Pentacles, and this is Pentacles, there's Earth. I don't know if this is connected to a specific astrological placement, probably, but definitely earthy energy. And this is a card of financial independence, not just abundance, but independence, although it can be too. As a matter of fact, some of you may have remembered I just got a new deck called the Lightseers Tarot deck. And it comes with this nifty little booklet that I have found to be I think the best out of all the little booklets I have. And just for the keywords. And I just want to see right quick what they say about the Nine of Pentacles. Because, I always say it's financial independence. But for some people, it means something other than that. And I do think it has to do with just financial well-being. Well, they say here spiritual and material satisfaction. So the number 9, I'm sure that they're going with the fact that the number 9 is the number of the light worker. So especially I would say if you combine a money-making venture with something that has a spiritual bent to it, that this is kind of like the result of that. And that sounds kind of bad because I think some of us who go into these kinds of areas that there's a potential to make money, but at the same time it's a spiritual endeavor, that we struggle with it. And I think that's a good thing to struggle with this concept, because otherwise, if you're just completely gung-ho about it, you might not really be into the spiritual as much as, oh man, I'm going to clean up here. And for me, it was Teal Swan who sealed the deal, because she said something that made a lot of sense. She said, if you do not charge for your spiritual services, then that means you're going to have to get an outside job, because obviously unless you have a trust fund, you're going to have to probably pay some bills. And how is that going to impact your ability to do your spiritual work? If you have to be out there all day and dealing with people who tend to be very worldly. Like when you work for yourself and you're doing a spiritual thing and you don't have to be, like for me, I'm very sensitive to, I'm, empathic. So it's so hard for me to deal with other people. And I didn't know that until recently. I knew that it bothered me, but I didn't know why. And I just figured it was something bad, and that I didn't like people, or that I was just too sensitive, a basket case. But it's really because when you're very sensitive, you pick up on other people and what they're going through. And a lot of people are confused. I mean, I'm going to be quite honest with you. Not that I have it all together by any stretch of the imagination, but just knowing, feeling like I know the basic premise of life. And a lot of people are still trying just to, grab the gusto on the material level, and they constantly see that it doesn't work, that it's just kind of temporary, that, material side of things. And then they get even more confused and they start, messing with their coworkers. So it says here, she says here, inner peace. The energy of a successful harvest and contentment. Okay, well, that's what she says. I want to focus on the kind of the pentacles, though, and talk about that. I would say even like getting back to nature. And so if you're one of those people that kind of saw the summer slip through your hands, and now that it's August, or if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, that's not going to apply, but you know what I mean. And now you're like, I have to play catch up. I have to go camping, or I have to do something. I could see a Taurus person wanting to go camping for sure. In the past position, we have the King of Wands. So if I look at this as relationship related, the King of Wands can be you stepping into your power and being able to support yourself on your terms, and that's an important part of it. Taurus rules the second house of earned income, but it's also the house of self-worth. So how you talk about net worth, how much are you worth, in terms of material assets, then there's the self-worth. And those things are not interchangeable. You can have a lot of net worth and not a lot of self-worth. And you can have a lot of self-worth and not a lot of net worth, right? It can work both ways. But the thing is that with the King of Wands, understanding that you hold the power and that you are able to you're able to kind of affect change in your life. You don't have to just wait for a beautiful transit or whatever to occur. You can do things every day in the direction of your dreams that make it happen. I'm going to just put this out there because this is another scenario that I thought of, is that you may have been dealing with I'll say this. You may have been dealing with somebody who was being very controlling to you, and you have found your self-worth and stepped into that personal power with the King of Wands, and now and have made it your mission. If you're not, divorced or haven't left a controlling partner yet, you are in that process of, becoming financially self-sufficient. And so that other person may have taken the financial reins because maybe you were a stay-at-home parent and you just did not work outside of the home, but you worked inside of the home, but not outside, making money. And that other person sees the opportunity to exploit that. This is kind of like narcissistic behavior. So it's obvious that that kind of a person is going to be problematic in many ways. This is not the only way. And so maybe you've made it your mission in recent months, or you plan to make it your mission, to become financially self-sufficient so that you can leave, and if you have children, that you can support them as well, that you don't need this other person to live. And the higher message is the Two of Cups, which may be that you haven't gotten over another, like a person in your past that you either broke up with or that you were kept from. If it was very early on in your life, like in other words, your parents separated you from this other person. This is a card about commitment. And so there may be something within you that when you got together with somebody that you did not feel right about that person, and now you know why, because you understand that they are really controlling and that they are trying to kind of control you to get what they want. And perhaps you just kind of dismissed it and didn't think it was that big of a deal, and now you know better. Now you know that you dodged a bullet, and that you need to, if you haven't gotten away from this person, that a commitment to them is not a great thing. But I will say that this is in the upright position, so I would see this in a positive light. It can be about forgiveness, the Two of Cups as well. And Taurians tend to struggle with forgiveness. I think being a fixed sign, there is that tendency to kind of like crystallize your emotions into one kind of a place and feel very strongly that somebody has done you wrong. And even if they have, it can create an emotional blockage if you don't release it. If you don't say, okay, this person doesn't feel good about themselves and they don't feel like personally powerful, so that's why they tried to control me. But I don't have to let that poison me for the rest of my life. And same with an employer, because there may be something, I'm feeling like some Taurians are taking the reins of control in your career, and that is having great results. The thing is that there's some kind of reconciling with it. I don't know what that would mean to you, if it means that you're going to go back and work with a former employer again, or if it's simply forgiving them for whatever they may have done that was against you. I was thinking of the Lord's Prayer, forgive those who have trespassed against me. What crosses you is the Ten of Pentacles, which is a card of generational wealth. I want to say one thing, because I was speaking with when I was doing other videos for this series about the full moon that we just had in Aquarius that fell in the 10th house for Taurus. And I have Taurus rising, so I had this here too. Now, the 10th house, this is an earth house. This is Capricorn's house in the universal chart. So it's more about, your career matters and things like that. But I was noting on prior videos how intense it felt. It's like, whoa, what the heck? And it has nothing to do with my personal chart, because the 10th house is not a house that you would expect a lot of deep emotion. This was in Aquarius, so there's no reason for it to be that intense. I'm assuming that there are other factors at play here. Maybe, it's almost an exact square with Uranus. I didn't really sit down. I'm not really, my strength in astrology is more with personality analysis. I'm not really that keen on predictions, because I think that we do have a lot of control over our lives, and that kind of gives a contradictory message in that regard. So, but I mean, I do predictions because I do astrology readings, I do personal readings, but it's not meant to substitute for your own intuition and, what you feel compelled to do. So anyway, having said all of that, this is very interesting what is presented here, because I feel like it is, showing itself to be connected with something with family. Oh yeah, the 10, hello. It's so funny because the 10 of Pentacles, I think of as Capricorn, because Capricorn is the ruler of the 10th house, and it's Earth, Pentacles. So perhaps this is kind of talking about that career stuff. And, what happened with you? Did you decide to pack it in career-wise? Was there something that happened? Did you lose a job, even though the 10th house isn't like strictly job, it's more of like your career path? But the other thing too is that this can be about family. So the 10th house can be the father, and and it's inheritance. So maybe this is what this is all about. If this is a father and the father side of the family or something like that, and it has to do with money. Yeah, I'm not sure, but in terms of like relationship issues, if you have left a relationship, that may be indicative of you're not building this generational wealth and this generation itself. Because the 10 of Pentacles, even love readings can be like, in the upright position can be like, hey, you are building this empire and you're going to have children and grandchildren, and it's just going to, perpetuate itself. And instead, this is like kind of talking more about, that not happening, but it might just be with a specific person. And the other thing too is that you may have to rely on yourself. You might not be able to rely on family money, and maybe in the past that was something that you did. Oh yeah, this is another thing that could be definitely true, especially if you're on the younger side of things, but not necessarily. Sometimes even older adults are still very tied to their parents' purse strings and apron strings. So the King of Wands, to me, kings can be fathers, but we can just kind of broaden it to the authority figure in your life. If that was your mother, that could definitely be her. But anyway, this parent can be larger than life, and maybe they're very successful. Maybe they are very dynamic. And even a narcissist, because I do think of kings and queens sometimes as narcissists. Not saying all the time, but sometimes I think in terms of that aspect, even when it's in the upright position, this person may have a lot of talent, but they also have a lot of self-absorption. And being a Sagittarius and being a fire sign, the wands are connected to fire, and fire can be self-absorbed. It just is, even in the best of circumstances, fire can be self-absorbed. And so, Taurus, you might have felt that this parent didn't give you enough personal attention, didn't treat you as an individual. You were just a reflection of them. And you want to go off in a different direction. They may even have their own business, because the 10 of Pentacles can be the family business, and you want to go your own way, but you're going to either, maybe this means that you're at risk of being disowned, disinherited, or something like that. And it is what it is. It's like, who said to thine own self be true? Was that Shakespeare, or did it come before him? So you have to make that call of whose life is it? And what is the purpose of life? What is coming in is the 8 of Pentacles, which is a very productive card. This is a card of gaining some kind of a skill, practical skill that you can use in life, maybe training or internship for something. It can be, working and attaining wealth through the work that you're doing, the sweat of your brow, and doing your thing financially. And that means independently in this case, with the Nine of Pentacles also here. So this may be something that you're doing in order to further your career options in life, and you realize that you have to rely on yourself to do that. So you're doing things in a very methodical and practical way. The outcome is the Nine of Cups. This is a great card, wish fulfillment. And they always talk about this smug expression on the person's face, like, how you like me now. But you know what? I think that that's a great motivator, not in a mean sort of way. Excuse me, not in a vindictive sort of way, but simply as a motivator. To be able to say, I did something that garnered a great payback, and I feel proud of myself that I did that. I took a chance, or I did the hard work. I, risked disinheritance to follow my dreams, and now I have this to show for it. If this is a personal relationship issue, this may be that you are going against your family for somebody that you love. And sometimes the family is correct, and they are seeing that a person is not good for their loved one. But sometimes the family is full of narcissists. I keep talking about narcissism. Somebody said, you keep talking about narcissism, you must be dealing with that. Well, I won't commit to an answer, but let me just put it this way. I know of what I speak. And I have been learning about narcissism recently, yes. And I'm not saying every situation is about narcissism, but it's opening my eyes how it shows up in different areas of life. And you can have whole family systems that are infected with narcissism. And the point being that it can be crazy making, because you can feel like you're the one who is the bad one, because they characterize you that way. They make you into the scapegoat and tell you that you are the problem in the family. And if you choose to believe that, then, that's what you get out of life. But certainly you don't have to believe what other people tell you, because they're coming from their own place of wanting to control, and they'll, by any means necessary. So whatever this thing is that you have been wanting can come to fruition, and you're doing it your way. So I hope that you enjoyed this, Taurus. I have a special that I should be promoting a little bit more, because it's actually a really great deal. 2 full-length readings, natal chart interpretation plus a full-length tarot reading, and for a special price. And it's called the Whole Enchilada, and I have other types of readings. You can check out more information at the link below. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will be back for a late August wrap-up. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.